So, there's a lot of talk going around that Tom Brady was there to call the game where the GOAT debate became no longer a debate anymore. Many people are saying that Patrick Mahomes has no chance to ever catch Tom Brady as the GOAT, and I want to talk about it. So, obviously, Patrick Mahomes just played in the Super Bowl on Sunday and lost for the second time in his career. He's now 3-2 in Super Bowls. He's looked really bad in both of the Super Bowls that he's lost, one of them being obviously to the GOAT, Tom Brady, back in the 2020 season. One of the things I want to talk about from Sunday is that obviously Mahomes played really bad. Both the interceptions were really bad. One of them, he was just trying to do too much, rolling out of the pocket. The other one just completely didn't see the linebacker over the middle. Both really bad interceptions. But also, as you know, the offensive line was terrible in that game. Mahomes really didn't have a chance, but that still doesn't dismiss how bad of a game he played. So there's a lot of talk about how, obviously Brady was never blown out in a Super Bowl and how that would never happen to Tom. I want to kind of talk about what qualifies you to be the GOAT. There's a lot of different things. Super Bowls is the number one thing that gets brought up all the time. Like a lot of people say, Pat has no chance to get 7, or Pat has to get 7, or even Pat has to get 8 to chase down Tom Brady. Obviously, I don't think, in my opinion, Super Bowls has to always be the tell-all, be-all of who's the best quarterback of all time. Obviously, Troy Aikman, great quarterback, has 3 Super Bowls. Obviously not a better quarterback than Peyton Manning, who has 2 Super Bowls. He just played on great teams. I think the argument with Brady Mahomes is that their teams are very comparable, that they both have who everyone considers to be the best coach at the time they're playing. Mahomes, over the last couple of years, has had elite defenses. Brady had elite defenses throughout his career. They've both had a mixture of, at times, having really good weapons. Obviously, Brady had some years where he had Randy Moss, and he played with Gronk, and he played with all these guys, and Mahomes has played with Tyreek Hill, and he's played with Kelsey. But then towards the end of Brady's career with the Patriots, the flip was switched a little bit, and it was like he doesn't have the best weapons anymore, but he's still winning. And that's kind of how it's been with Mahomes the past couple years. Is Kelsey's gotten older and fell off a little bit, and Hill left. And then obviously the injuries this year where he doesn't have the best weapons in the world, but he's still winning. So I think the reason that Super Bowls can be such a big debate with these two is it seems like they're just so similar in that aspect of the way their teams are structured. As far as the two as a player, you hear people say all the time that, Mahomes is the most talented player they've ever seen, but Brady's the best player. And I agree with that in a sense, but I think that the things that make Brady great are different than some of the things that makes Mahomes great. So he's just talented in different aspects. Brady's superpower was that he would watch film like nobody's business. He'd spend hours, and then when he's under center lining up, he knows what the defense is about to do before they're about to do it. You could never fool him. It didn't matter what you're in. He knows what's coming. You couldn't really disguise a blitz. You couldn't fool him. Not saying that Mahomes doesn't watch film, that Mahomes isn't great at recognizing defenses and all those things, because you have to be an elite level quarterback. But Brady was just a different level. He was the greatest to ever do it in that aspect. Well, what makes Mahomes so great that Brady couldn't do is the mobility, the ad-libbed plays where he's out of the pocket and he's just making things happen, or even all the scrambles he's had. I think of all the memorable plays he's made with his legs. The one that comes to mind is when he went down the sideline versus Tennessee in the AFC Championship for a 30-yard run late in that game to shut the door. As a player, these guys are really different, but as far as career trajectory, they're really similar. But as far as the GOAT debate being closed, I just don't think you can shut that door yet. I think it's highly unlikely that Mahomes would be able to do anything to catch Brady, but he's still so young. Mahomes is going into his age 30 season next year. Brady did most of his work in the NFL. He won 5 of his Super Bowls after he turned 30 years of age. Look, and I know it can be easy to say, obviously no one's Brady. No one else can be able to play that long. But before Brady played that long at that level, everyone's probably said that as well. No one would have ever thought that someone could almost win an MVP at age 44. Look, I don't think Mahomes will have the longevity of Brady. I'd be really surprised, but I'm not just gonna throw that out the window and say that he can't, because who knows? I think it's probably unlikely for a lot of the reasons I said earlier with his play style is just so different to Brady, where he does use his legs so much to make a lot of his great plays. But there's also just a lot of other factors that go into being the GOAT. Obviously, Brady's got 3 MVPs. Mahomes has 2 right now. Brady led the league in passing yards 4 times. Mahomes has only done it once so far. Brady led the league in touchdowns 5 times. Mahomes has only done it twice so far. There's just so many other things other than Super Bowls that I can feel that factor in. But still, the Super Bowls, Like, in order for Mahomes to pass him without winning more Super Bowls, I think he would just have to, stats wise, just kind of pass him and everything. And that's really going to be hard to do as well, because obviously Brady is a career leader in touchdowns and yards by a pretty good margin as well. So I do understand where people were coming from with the Super Bowls are the only way that Mahomes could possibly catch Brady. But like if Mahomes goes on to win like 4 MVPs in his 30s, and 3 more Super Bowls and he's up to 6, I think that conversation can still kind of be brought back up again, and I think it's at least in discussion. I do think it's unlikely. I think once Mahomes gets done, I do think Brady will still be considered the GOAT by most, but I still think it's so hard to predict. One thing I do think is I don't think Patrick Mahomes is done winning Super Bowls. I don't think he's done playing in Super Bowls. I think he has a terrific career ahead of him, and I just don't think you can write off the GOAT debate just yet.